Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Sadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Okay, so before we share the screen, what's the subject we're speaking of at the moment in Brihat Bhagavatamrta?
What page are we on, please?
We're on. Wait a minute. Let's see if I should bring up the page now. But I don't have a hard copy. This is a copy on the computer, so the pages won't correlate. All I can say is it's either chapter 4, part 2, or chapter 2, part 4. Anyway, first, before we begin up, I will bring it up on the screen so you can see. So there's a specific subject that Sanatana Goswami is speaking about.
Service and deity worship.
Yeah, about deity worship. So now I will share the screen now. Hare Krishna. What can you see? Hopefully you can see Brihat Bhagavatamrta.
Still loading. Yeah, we can see.
Okay. Yeah, so speaker, and yes, last week we spent, and the week before we spent more or less on text 215. Had a very large purple. So we're going to move on this week, and we're on beginning text 216 to 217. All right, so without further ado, Sahachari, please can go ahead and read.
Thank you. Text 216 to 217. Although the fruit of their worship of Hari is in itself greater than the results of all pious material activities, they do not gain the highest fruit they would have derived from proper devotional service to the Lord. In various scriptures, therefore, the best of saintly persons condemn such materialistic worship. Commentary. How can worship of the Supreme Lord not be fruitful? And if fruitful, how can it be criticized? This verse and the next answer these doubts. Faithless worship of the Lord's deity results in vast, faultless material enjoyment, unencumbered by the complications that result from ordinary fruitive rituals. Like being promoted to heaven, but only pure devotional service grants one the most rare treasure of pure love for the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, which in turn grants entrance to his abode, where one can see him and play with him forever. Thus, the most perceptive authorities of devotional service are usually critical of the deity worship of neophytes with weak faith.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if we heard that, took note of that, but in the beginning, faithless worship. If one has no faith in the principle of the deity being non-different from the Lord, and then worshipping for material means, then what's the result? Vast, faultless material enjoyment, unencumbered by the complications that result from ordinary materialistic activities. Wow. But then it mentions that the real jewel they don't get, which is pure love of Godhead. So in comparison to that, it is definitely trivial and lesser in comparison to pure love for Krishna. But still, it's interesting. And I read a little. I read ahead a little bit before we opened up today, and the next verse is quite amazing as well. In the same explanation. Yeah, you can read the next verse, Mother.
Okay.
Or the one after that.
18. When the Puranas and other scriptures make statements that belittle deity worship, you should understand that all such statements refer to those particular worshippers, not all devotees. Text 219 to 220. But if such materialistic worshippers never give up the worship, under any circumstances, their dedication will purify their hearts. Then, by the mercy of Krishna's devotees, who see only the good qualities of others, the faults of such worshippers will be exhausted, and in time, those worshippers too will become first-class devotees. O Maitreya, for a person whose mind is focused on Lord Vasudeva by chanting of mantras, by offering of oblations, by worship of the Lord's deity, and so on. Such results are becoming the king of the demigods are simply obstacles to his progress. This doubt is cleared by text 219 and 220. Anyone following the process of deity worship seriously, without giving it up under any circumstances, will be purified and in a short time will become a perfect devotee of the Lord. This guarantee stands even if the worshipper has regarded the deity as a stone statue, different from the Supreme Person, or has concocted a new image of the Lord, or has been led away from the path of Sanatana Dharma by excessive pride, or has treated other living entities with contempt, or even if he has shown no respect. For Vaishnavas, but neophytes who merely make a show of deity worship for a short time may only in the distant future become perfect devotees. Show bottle worshippers who offered Vaishnavas do not deserve to have their ambitions fulfilled at all, but they may attain perfection by the mercy of the Vaishnavas, for the Vaishnavas are very merciful, kind even to their enemies. But wouldn't it be better for Vaishnavas simply to neglect such offenders and let them remain in ignorance? Perhaps, but pure Vaishnavas see only the good qualities in everyone. Since even superficial, pretentious worshippers of the deity are meditating on the transcendental form of the Lord, saintly devotees simply ignore the offenses and shower mercy.
Okay, anyway. Any comments about that or questions? It's the first time I'm reading, really, actually properly reading this Brihat Bhagavatamrta, and although Prabhupada no doubts brings up these points in his books and purports, but specifically here, I've never considered, I've never understood this actually. That someone, so you could say this is a Kanishta Adhikari, someone who's can more or less considered to be a materialistic person. Even you'd be hard pressed to use the word devotee, you could say. But still, by worshipping the deity form of the Lord, they get purified. Yeah.
Do you think this is home deities?
No, this is what? No, this is deities per se.
Oh, right.
Home deities, temple deities. So there's actually, yes. So
how would one go? I'm just a bit confused. How would one go on the altar in that kind of a mood, mind?
yeah, I think yeah, I think our Pacific ISKCON society, following Prabhupada's direction, I mean, we do have principles and we do have standards by which only certain devotees are allowed to worship the deities. That's to be understood. But let's just say deity worship, wherever it's going on and whatever context. And I presume it'd be worship of the forms of Krishna or his expansions. This is not referring to demigod deity worship. Let's understand that. But still, the very fact, yeah. So even those who are, let's describe it again, go back. Again, just a reminder, this is Sanatana Goswami's explanation of his own verses. So he's saying, even if one is regarded a deity as a stone statue, or even even has concocted a new image of the Lord, or has been led away from the path of Sanatana Dharma. So that could mean all types of things. Or has been contemptuous towards others. And here, Eve shown no respect to Vaishnavas.
I just thought about something anyway.
Yeah, but and even if they have offended Vaishnavas, the Vaishnavas themselves do not take offense. and they will see good even in their enemies. Anyway, perhaps we read on, and this will unfold more.
Actually, I now understand, even in our temple, like early days, there used to be devotees who would be coming down to dress Radharani and Ishwar as well. And they have desires, material desires, to get married, this, that, everything. And
Yeah, of course, yeah.
yeah, and then we used to have a phone upstairs, remember?
Yeah, we used to have an intercom.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then
Francis.
it would ring. And
General call for so-and-so.
oh, yes.
Go out for the whole building.
Yeah, so I used to see, I mean, I was just beginning there. And even if they're dressing rather than they run upstairs to answer that call, you know.
Yeah.
Now I can understand, yes.
But still, yeah, so there's an example. Still, they will get great benefit from what they are doing. But yeah, eventually, I guess there will come. Well, we're trying to explain this. So one has to come to the level of pure devotion to actually get pure love of Godhead. But still, they get purified. And perhaps we better read on so that we can explain more. Okay, you can read on, Mother Satori, excuse me.
Okay. Text 221 to 222. Devotees who have material desires first enjoy the material results for which they have hanker, and later on the strength of devotional service, they enjoy the true fruit of devotion. But because that fruit does not at first appear, pure devotees decree what those worshippers first achieve.
Decry. That means they don't. That means they are critical. That means they don't see it as being much good, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Text 223. Pure devotees, after all, think that seeing the Lord constantly attaining bliss from taking part in his pastimes and relishing subsequent pleasures are the fruit of devotional service and its root as well.
You can see? It's not the commentary?
No. Yeah, sorry. Commentary. Achieving the perfection of prema is only the beginning of Vaikuntha's life. After that, a liberated devotee makes further advancement, receiving special individual mercy from the Lord by being allowed to serve him in person and to enjoy in other ways the nectar of devotion. Text 224. Those devotees cannot tolerate even a moment's delay in obtaining that fruit, nor can the Lord neglect such devotees for even a moment. Commentary. Once a devotee pure love of God is awakened, he can no longer wait to see the Lord and serve him. In that consciousness, it is difficult for the devotee to understand why others hesitate to take full shelter of prema-bhakti, and so he may speak critically of compromised materialistic behavior.
And generally, that's what we do when we speak about persons who are worshipping deities with material motives. Our general discussion is that it's seen as, it's criticized, but actually, Sanatana Goswami is bringing out here that actually what they're doing, although it's with a material motive, is actually very powerful. Yeah. So.
And also, would you not think that that those devotees, everybody's at a different stage, and they'll get purified?
Yeah, I think that's a summary of what's being explained here. They're getting purified just by coming in touch with the Lord. Yeah, the same as coming into the temple with for all types of reasons, for all types of material desires, but just by coming in, just by associating with Vaishnavas, or being in the presence when Vaishnavas are worshipping the Lord, etc., then they get purified. I mean, there's all types of persons come in and might sit in, especially our temples in central London, so you get all types of people come in and may sit down to listen to a part of a lecture. Maybe and they're obviously not pure devotees. They may not even be on the path of pure devotion. But as Mother Chandra already said, they get purified. So Krishna is like the sun. It purifies everything. Yeah.
It's the same for us, isn't it? Like going on the altar when you first go, and then after a few years, your thoughts are different, your prayers are different. No?
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if one, that's why I said earlier, especially one continues the worship of the Lord, one doesn't stop the worship, then one is bound to get purified. Difficult not to get purified. That's what seems to be explained here. You know, of course, if you try hard enough, you can. Of course, if you're offending Vaishnavas, then the Krishna may arrange that you leave the association of Vaishnavas. You know, but still, the Vaishnavas are very kind. Yeah. All right. Just read on a bit.
Yeah. Text 225. Thus, all other fruits of desires and paltry, even liberation from the personality of Godhead, they are easily obtained, but his pure devotional service is not. By the mercy of pure devotional service, the personality of Godhead, the supreme controller, becomes subordinate to his devotees. This is effect deprives him of independence, so pure devotional service he rarely bestows. Commentary. Pure love for Sri Krishna Dev is more difficult to obtain than liberation, in the words of Sukadev Goswami. My dear King Parikshit, the Supreme Person. My dear King Parikshit, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is always ready to help you. He is your master, guru, God, very dear friend, and head of your family. Yet, sometimes he agrees to act as your servant or order carrier. You are greatly fortunate because this relationship is possible only by bhakti. Bhakti Yoga. The Lord can give liberation very easily, but he does not very easily give one Bhakti Yoga. Bhagavatam 5:6-18. One of Krishna's name is Mukunda, which can be divided into three parts: Mu, liberation; Kum, happiness; and Da, giving. Meaning that Krishna bestows the bliss of liberation, or Kum, cannot be understood to mean devotional service. So Krishna is the bestower of both liberation and devotional service. However, although the Lord often awards liberation and ordinary devotional service, he very rarely gives prema-bhakti. Why? Some say it is because when Bhagavan, the supreme independent controller of all, gives prema-bhakti, he becomes obliged to give up the independence. For devotees who have prema, keep him helplessly under the control, or taking the little Bhagavan to express his absolute omniscience. The idea is that he knows the impropriety of giving prema bhakti to anyone uneducated in the rasas of pure devotion. Other reasons for the Lord's hesitancy to grant prema bhakti will be discussed later on.
Okay, so I guess we're familiar with this, isn't it? This is from the Nectar of Devotion. Yeah. Even by circumlating Tulsi, we can be free of all sinful reactions, etc. Yeah, so one can become, but getting pure love, that's something else. But getting prema bhakti, that's not so easily obtainable. I saw Mother Rajkishore, she had her hand up to read, but then she disappeared.
Yeah, her internet's not doing good, she said.
Okay.
So
If anyone else would like to read from 227.
I can read if nobody wants to read.
Yeah, I can read if you like.
Thank you, Mother Bangalata. 227.
227. In my opinion, the Lord's coming under the control of his dearmost servants creates no unhappiness or fault of any kind, Rather, he creates great joy and broadcasts such glorious qualities of the Lord as his affectionate concern for his devotees. Commentary. Having recounted others' thoughts on why the personality of Godhead rarely bestows prema-bhakti, Narada now discloses his own. First, he refutes the idea that the Lord wants to avoid losing his independence. The Lord causes no distress for his devotees when he submits himself to their desires, nor by surrendering his independence does he suffer. Rather, these intimate dealings bring joy to the entire world, and they spread the Lord's fame for being generous and concerned for his devotees. Because the Lord's submission to his devotees enlarges their mutual joy, it is a source of delight rather than distress. Furthermore, because it increases his glories, it is faultless.
All right, let me just go back here. So this is interesting. So we hear that that's why prema is very rare, because it controls the Lord. But interesting, Sanat Goswami is like highlighting this. That it's not that the Lord wants to avoid losing his independence. I never thought of that before. I mean, that's what it may indicate. That's why the Lord doesn't give prema, because then one controls Krishna. So then in that sense, Krishna is controlled and he loses independence. So that's not, let me just read it again for my own edification. The Lord causes no distress for his devotees when he submits himself to their desires, nor by surrendering his independence does he suffer. Rather, these intimate dealings bring joy to the entire world, and they spread the Lord's fame for being generous and concerned for his devotees. Because the Lord's submission to his devotees enlarges their mutual joy, so the joy of the devotee and the joy of Krishna. It's a source of delight rather than distress. Okay. Increases the Lord's glories. I guess we know what some examples of devotees controlling Krishna. There's so many. Who control Krishna with their love.
When he breaks his promise for the sake of his devotee, was it Arjuna on the battlefield? Yeah. He said he wouldn't take up arms, but he did that. Sorry, I'm not familiar with who did what there, but he picked up the chariot wheel.
Bhishmadev.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Krishna, as we know, he had made a vow before that he would be the chariot driver. He wouldn't take up arms. And Bhishmadev, at one point, he was fighting so intensely, so ferociously. I don't know if that's the right word, ferocious, but that it was as if Arjuna would be killed. So then Krishna, being controlled by his affection for Arjuna, broke his own promise. So in that sense, he was controlled by love. That's a whole wonderful part in Bhagavad, in the battle crew, etc.
And also allowing, sorry, I just thought of another one.
Go on, yeah, please.
Allowing Mother Yashoda to tie him up.
Yeah, if you go to Vrindavan, everything is about controlling Krishna. All the residents, more or less, they control Krishna through their pure love. Mother Yashoda, obviously Radharani, the cowherd boys, the cowherd girls, the residents of Vrindavan. Krishna is completely enamored and by their love, but becomes willingly controlled by them. So, any other examples? I had thought of one, but I forgot that we can.
Stealing the Parijata tree from Lord Indra.
Yeah, that was for his wife, Rukmini or Satyabhama, yeah. So the Lord is controlled by the love of his devotees. Yeah. All right. You can continue, Mother Lavangalatika. You're still there? You're muted. That's it. Now you're
Okay.
unmuted. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The way the chief of expert heroes voluntarily submits to his devotees is supremely dear and attractive because it contradicts his self-satisfaction and certain other of his natural qualities. It is the ultimate perfection of Godhead. Commentary. The greatness of God seen most fully when he becomes subordinate to his servants. In such intimate dealings, the Lord reveals his most special qualities, like his unselfish efforts to give happiness to his devotees. This aspect of his personality attracts the admiration of pure Vaishnavas, even when it seems to contradict such features of his absolute status as his eternal self-satisfaction, his effortless acquisition of whatever he might desire, his supreme mastery of the mystic powers of mystic yoga, and so on. One may learn more about this topic by studying such pastimes of Krishna as his destroying the pride of Satyabhama, as told in Sri Harivamsa and other devotional scriptures.
Yeah, I was just one example I was thinking of was actually we just mentioned it is Krishna becoming the chariot driver of Arjuna and being thus controlled by Arjuna. Yeah. So here, what's anyone know what this is referring to? Destroying the pride of Satyabhama. Is that in regards to the Parijata tree?
I don't know.
Oh, yeah. Anyone read the Harivamsa lately? Doubt it. So there's an intriguing part of the pastime here. Perhaps we might not be familiar with it. Perhaps someone we can look after, Yeah, so okay.
No.
There's so much here that you feel hesitant to move on unless you fully understand what's being said, but fully appreciate. But perhaps we can't appreciate and fully understand everything, every sentence. I mean, yeah. All right, let's just read on. And read on and read on and read on and read on. Hare Krishna.
Okay.
You can carry on.
Okay. In the final maturity of devotional service, in pure love, sometimes a unique treasure appears, Mahabhava, the highest stage of ecstasy. With the vision of truth, one sees it in the kingdom of the greatest delight, where it dances exuberantly upon the ramparts. Commentary. In Mahabhava, the most rare experience, one suffers the torment of burning in the fire of separation from Krishna. From the purely spiritual point of view, this is called suffering. This so-called suffering is actually the most sublime ecstasy.
Yeah, okay, so it's not mentioned yet, but as we know, this is normally seen in Radharani, it's seen in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and in one of the cowherd boys, I forget who is that, there's one of the cowherd boys who actually experiences this Mahabhav. I have one godbrother who's called Mahabhav. Actually, interesting name. It's a Mahabhav. Yes. Okay. Can continue.
That coward.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Who is the coward boy?
I don't know without looking it up, but there's one. Because the different associates of Krishna in Vrindavan, from the servants, his friends, those who in Vatsalya Ras, Mother Yasoda, and the elders, they all come to different levels of prema. Because within prema, there's different levels of prema. And as we know, the highest, as we know, is exhibited by the gopis, and Mahabhav is exhibited specifically by Radharani. Although Sanatana Goswami has not mentioned her specifically, perhaps he will do later. but this is quite poetic as well. So I don't know. I'll have to get back to you on that. I forget. So this is really nicely, really poetic verse here. Mahabhav, the highest stage of ecstasy, with the vision of truth, one sees it in the kingdom of the greatest delight. So that's nice poetry, isn't it? That's where you're going to see it, in the kingdom of the greatest delight, where it dances exuberantly upon the ramparts. So exuberantly means, what does exuberant means? It means it's
in a very jolly.
Yeah, very animated, very exhibited.
Energetic. Yeah.
Very, yeah. So Mahabhav dances on the ramparts. So what's a rampart? A rampart is approach to a city, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's part of the wall around the city.
Yeah. So this is it's so much this Mahabhav in the Vrindavan, we must presume. But the way he's described it here, it dances exuberantly, just even on the outsides of Vrindavan, let alone on the internal realms. And so this is Mahabhav, and this is the wonder of Vrindavan. I don't think this is not exhibited in the Vaikunthas, I'm pretty sure. No. Only in Vrindavan. Yeah. So it seems like Sanatana Goswami's now he's speaking about a different subject. We've been hearing about deity worship. Now we're hearing about pure love of Godhead. Yeah. Let's see. Okay, you can continue with 230.
Yeah, 230. And yet the peculiar nature of Mahabhava is that outwardly it shows the signs of terrible distress, sorrow, and pain. And although these signs are but external, the Lord can never tolerate seeing such a state in his most beloved devotees. Commentary. Krishna cannot bear to see his devotees crying out pitifully and shedding torrents of tears in the pain of separation from him, even though he knows that these are not truly signs of unhappiness. Real or not, these signs of distress in his devotees force him to respond. In this state, his title, Bhagavan, is best understood to mean the most loving.
Okay, so even though it's a form of ecstasy, just that exhibition of great sorrow and pain and tears, the Lord, yeah.
That was all there when he left Vrindavan.
Yeah.
Gopis, Mother Yashoda.
Yeah, that's, you could say that was all in a state of great distress, according to the degree of their love, and that Krishna, yeah, the great distress described here as Mahabhav. Yeah.
Also,
Sometimes this word Mahabhav is used quite in India, in some places in Raj, it's used quite loosely. Sometimes if a devotee or someone's acting a bit strangely, then, oh, Mahabhav. That's Mahabhav. Someone's being, one's acting out of character, acting strange or something. I've heard it. Oh, it's his bhava. Let him exhibit his bhava, Mahabhav. Yeah, where did Lord Chaitanya exhibit great Mahabhav? Which
The Gambhira.
the Gambhira is one place, yeah.
in Srinivasi's place, he sat on.
Yeah, I guess we could say everywhere.
Yeah,
But specifically, yeah, in the Gambhira, when he first went to the temple of Lord Jagannath, and he fainted in great ecstasy, Mahabhav, definitely in the Gambhira, yeah, great ecstasy, and when when this is near the Toja Gopinath temple, when he saw a sand dune. What's that called, that sand dune? And he ran, thinking it was Govardhan Hill. And then he fainted away. Also, when he jumped in the Yamuna, as you know, great Mahabhav. So he's Mahabhav personified. Yeah. Right. Let's see where Sanatana Goswami is going to take us. Now he's opened up this subject. Almost suddenly, isn't it? We were just speaking about materialistic worshippers, and now Sanatana Goswami has gone on glorifying pure love of Godhead. You know? All right, you can read another couple of verses, Melvin, then.
Yeah. When persons addicted to mundane visions see the bewildering symptoms of ecstasy born from pure love of God, they ridicule the devotees because such mundane persons have no desire to achieve devotional service. The Supreme Lord withholds from them his prema-bhakti. Commentary.
Okay.
It is for the good of the foolish people that the personality of Godhead doesn't grant them prema-bhakti. For lack of spiritual vision, materialists cannot begin to appreciate what pure love of God is. So when Vaishnavas show symptoms of the ecstasies of prema, crying out loud and appearing as if in great pain, the materialists, not at all attracted to share in these feelings, simply laugh at the devotees.
Mm-hmm.
The external appearance of pure love of God is certainly bewildering to ordinary people, so they cannot decide whether they are seeing great suffering or great pleasure. And because the Supreme Lord has unlimited compassion for every living entity, he refrains from introducing the mysteries of pure devotional service to those who are unprepared.
Go on, read 232.
Oh, yeah. Devotional service endowed with prema is very rarely achieved. In contrast, the enjoyments of heaven are easy to obtain, and so too is freedom from material existence. People rarely, if ever, find a Chintamani gem. They usually find only glass or sometimes gold. Commentary. Various enjoyments and opportunities for control are, just did something to my screen, sorry, bear with me. Various enjoyments and opportunities for control are available in heaven, on earth, in the subterranean regions, and on the planets of the sages. And for anyone with the requisite karmic credit, these are easily achieved. In contrast, one rarely achieves liberation from the cycle of birth and death. And prema-bhakti is much more rare than even liberation. Thus, material success is compared to glass, liberation to gold, and pure devotion to the mystic Chintamani gem.
Okay, so I ask you a question to test your Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, this last sentence, it reminds me of a particular pastime in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where this is seen quite clearly. Someone was worshipping the Lord, and then he considered.
Oh, Dhruva Maharaj.
Yeah, I thought as soon as I explained to you, Dhruva Maharaj. So then there's a verse, although it's not in the Srimad Bhagavatam, interestingly, there's a verse in Glorification of Prahlad elsewhere that describes that he gave the example. I was searching after broken glass. So in other words, he was after material things from Krishna. And he did get it, as we know. But he said, actually, now I've got the real thing, which is you, which is pure devotional service. So that reminded me here, and prema bhakti is much more rare than even liberation. Thus, material success is compared to glass, liberation to gold, and pure devotion to the mystic Chintamani gem. All right, so I saw Mother Rajkishore, saw you had returned back, or you dropped out again. I think she's had to drop out again.
No, she's there.
Oh no, she's there. And you had your hand to read. I don't know if it's possible.
I'm here now. Okay.
Two,
I'm on
three.
the phone, so I don't.
Okay.
No.
Also, your connection's bad.
To hear it properly? Oh, let's see.
You're going to try? Your connection's not
Well,
so
try.
good.
Yeah. Well, I'll try and see.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Text 232. Devotional service endowed with prema.
232? 233, I think.
Oh, 233. Devotionals. Okay. Only once in a while does the Supreme Lord give bhakti, and only to a rare, intelligent person who desires only that, indifferent to the opinions of the world. Commentary. Because a candidate for prema bhakti has lost all concern for what worldly people think of him, they reciprocate by treating him with contempt. Text 234. We are not able to describe completely this special ecstatic state, nor is it proper for us to do so. And even if the most perfect of the scriptures, those dedicated to promoting devotional service, were to describe it in detail, the effect on ignorant people would be contrary. Commentary. Gop Kumar wants to learn more about Narada, about the special kind of ecstasy that comes from the mature love of God. But here, Narada asserts that he is unqualified to explain it. Prema Bhakti is indeed beyond the reach of anyone's mind and words. Only devotees who have directly perceived it can understand it. Before a general audience, then, it is inappropriate to say very much about even the external symptoms of prema. Such Srimad Bhagavatam and other Bhakti Shastras avoid revealing too much. The devotional scriptures anticipate that after reading that prema is like fire of universal annihilation, multiplied millions of times, people will be afraid to cultivate prema bhakti. Srila Sridhar Swami, in his comments on the Srimad Bhagavatam, encourages neophyte readers by portraying the symptoms of prema bhakti described therein as signs of happiness, not unhappiness. For example, one verse in the 11th canto, 11 to 40, says about the devotee who has achieved prema. By chanting the holy name of the Supreme Lord, one comes to the stage of love of Godhead. Then the devotee is fixed in his vow as an eternal servant of the Lord, and he gradually becomes very much attached to a particular name and form of the Lord. As his heart melts with ecstatic love, he laughs very loudly or cries or shouts. Sometimes he sings and dances like a madman, for he is indifferent to public opinion. Sridhar Swami tactfully explains that he laughs very loudly or cries or shouts means that the devotee jokingly rebukes his Lord. You have been neglecting me for all this time. When the supreme ecstasy of prema in separation appears outwardly like supreme distress, there is nothing wrong with this except that the persons lacking the spiritual knowledge will misunderstand devotional service to be a miserable experience and will have nothing to do with it. They will turn instead to impersonal jnana to achieve liberation or to materialistic karma to fulfill their desires for happiness. Rather than listen to the perfect authorities on bhakti, they will hear from the ordinary ignorant man.
Okay. I mean, how can we comment on this? How can you possibly comment on what's been described there on prema? But I'm thinking of Kolavecha Shita. I remember on Navadvip Paragram, we used to go. Now I think it's not possible to actually go there, actually. But the place where Kolavecha Shita had his bhajan or his house, and they do a play. But the point we're getting to is that he would, in great ecstasy of chanting, he would kind of cry out at night. You know, he wouldn't sleep. He would just be chanting the holy name and crying out in ecstasy. But the locals would accuse him of crying because he's hungry. We can hear you all night. You're crying out. You're hungry because you're beggar. Look at what's your worship. You know, look at how you live, and you look at what does your worshipful deity give you. All you do is cry at night because you are hungry. And also the neighbors of where did they do the kirtan? The nighttime kirtan, Shivas Thakur. Yeah, the neighbors being envious, they would think that the devotees are all drunk and all hailing, and you know. Or sometimes Lord Chaitanya would be criticized, or because people couldn't understand him, his ecstasies, they would criticize it. It's in the Chaitanya Bhagavat that they would think he's crying because someone has died. Someone in the family's died. So he's crying out loud and he's howling, you know, but really he was exhibiting pure love of God. So materialistic people cannot possibly understand. That's what's being really described here, you know. Yeah. All right. If there's any questions or comments, you can let's read.
Shall I carry on?
Yeah, carry on.
Persons who serve the transcendental taste of this ecstasy can realize its super excellence and sweetness. Since you belong to the place where Mahabhav is known, very soon you will surely understand it by the mercy of the Lord. Commentary. Out of humility, Narada implies that he is unable to understand the ecstasy of prema. But as an intimate associate of Lord Narayan and a witness of Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan, Mathura, and Dwarka, he knows much more than he has disclosed. Gopakumar is also eligible for this privileged understanding because he was born in Gokul and graced by the mercy of Sri Gokulanath. Text 236 and 237. Sri Gopakumar said, "These words of Narada greatly increased my anxious eagerness to see the lotus feet of Sri Gopal, my worshipable Lord. Quickly, a powerful storm-like urge also arose in me, a hope to achieve the kind of ecstasy that Narada had just described. Seeing me cast by this hope and eagerness into an ocean of sorrow, Narada consolingly spoke. Pure devotees revere Narad Muni for preaching the glories of the Supreme Lord all over the universe. I take shelter of Narada, who forced open the secret treasure chest in which the jewels of the Vaishnava philosophical conclusions were kept." Text 238. Sri Narada said, although this topic is most confidential and should not be talked about here, by the weight of your anxiety, I am being forced to speak openly. Commentary. The secrets of Narada is about to divulge are generally not discussed, even in Vaikuntha. Text 239. Far from here lies Ayodhya, the splendid city of Raghupati, divine master of the Raghu dynasty. And beyond that shines the city of Dwarka, dear to the divine master of the Yadus. Dwarka resembles the blessed and charming Mathura. Go to that Dwarka and worship with your eyes, your beloved Lord. Commentary. Above all other Vaikuntha planets are the special abodes of Lord Ramchandra and Lord Krishna. Since Gopakumar is somewhat familiar with Mathura on earth, Narad describes Dwarka as being similar. As affirmed by Vikadru in Sri Hari Vansha, Dwarka is actually a Mathura sub-district, and the residents of Dwarka are mostly Yadavas from Mathura city. So when Gopakumar achieves Dwarka above Vaikuntha, in effect, he will be attaining Mathura.
Okay,
Text.
so again, So just yeah, so we're getting back into the basic storyline of Gopal now, isn't it? For quite some time, we've just been hearing a specific conversation. So now we're getting back into his journey. So yeah, so he's on the move again. Hare Krishna. Okay,
I
you
was-
can continue. Go on,
Sorry.
carry on.
Okay, text
was-
240.
Carry on, John Devali. You was going to say
Okay.
something.
Yeah, I was just thinking about, like, you know how Gop Kumar is talking to Narad Muni,
Yeah.
and how when you get that association, the right association, then your emotions, your desires, like, get how do you say it?
Refined or
Yeah, refined, and you also. So, in other words, I was thinking how it is so important to associate with like-minded devotees if you can.
yeah.
To make progress. You know,
Yeah,
you have to
very good
search
point.
out like you can associate with all the devotees, but then sometimes you talk and you can get some you think, okay, now I can go. You understand something different, and you want to go forward. You know, does that make sense?
It does make sense, and it's so good you're bringing that out. It's called Sajatiya, and it's actually recommended in scripture. I cannot pinpoint the actual verse, but I know my Guru speaks about this, and also well-known devotee, disciple of Gaur Govinda Swami. What's his name? He brings out the magazine. He speaks a lot about Jagannath Puri, disciple of Gaur Govinda.
It begins with M. Maha something.
Yeah,
Brihat.
he lives in Jagannath Puri as well.
He lives in Jagannath Puri, yes.
Well,
Yeah.
at the moment he lives in Hungary because because he can't get he's had his visa relinquished from India because he overstayed, so he's living in Budapest. Oh, what's his name? Okay, we're not going to continue reading until we remember his name.
It starts with M. Yeah, it starts with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts with M. Because he's given classes as well.
Yeah.
What's his name? I'm trying to remember. The one who's typing away.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I'm not finding it. I thought I could look it up, but no. I don't know.
I know. I remember when we went to Jagannath Puri, he was giving us some class.
Yeah. Oh, I guess we better admit defeat.
Yes.
Otherwise, we've only got 5 minutes. It comes to mind in a minute. It's embarrassing. He's such a wonderful Vaishnava. We should never forget him. Madhu. Anyway, he speaks on this point.
It's her god brother.
Yeah, Sajatiya. So to associate with like-minded devotees. So we have to do that in the wider body of the association of so many Vaishnavas. Then there should be some devotees that we can relish the scriptures with and go a little bit deeper according to our specific mood. So yeah, it's nicely you brought it out, Mother Chandravali. So Gopal Kumar is hearing from Narada Muni and being greatly nourished in his devotional service. So this is most important principle at devotional service, is to associate with devotees, but who share the same aspiration as yourself and also the same mood, you know. Okay, we've got a few minutes left. Perhaps I have a read his last few verses. Okay, so did we read this verse here? Yes. Okay. But first hear from me about an excellent method for approaching Ayoja, a method approved by those whose only taste is for the service of Ramachandra's lotus feet. It's interesting. We're speaking about Mahabhav, and now he's speaking about Ayoja. Anyway, let us read on. Narada recommends that Gopakumar reach Dwarka first by going to Ayoja. The devotees there worship Lord Ramachandra almost as intimately as Krishna's devotees worship Krishna in Dwarka. So in Ayoja, Gopakumar will get good training, in the higher practice of personal devotion. Sri Krishna, the original personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnations, and simply Krishna is the original personality of Godhead, the source of all incarnations, and simply by worship of him, everything can be obtained. Yet I shall give you teachings to help you achieve a special taste for the divine lotus feet of Lord Ram. Jaya. Yesterday was the appearance of Lord Ram, the hero of the Raghus commentary. From experience, Gopakumar is fully convinced that anything he desires he can easily obtain by taking shelter of the 10-syllable king of mantras, the Gopal mantra, meant for worship of Sri Madan Gopal. The suggestion that he approached the lotus feet of Sri Raghunath does not contradict this, as stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.3.38. It comes up here. Krishna is the one source of all expansions of Godhead, including Ramachandra. Ete kamsa kala pumsa Krishnastu Bhagavan Swayam. All these incarnations are either plenary portions of the Lord, but Lord Sri Krishna is the original personality of Godhead. Devotees of Krishna see in Lord Ram many of the all-attractive features of their own deity. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, Sri Sukadev Goswami mentions Lord Ramachandra's exceptionally beautiful lotus feet. Smaranti hriti vinashasya vidim dandaka kantakai sapada palavam brahma atmi yoni agattataha. When Lord Ramachandra lived in Dandakaranya, his lotus feet were sometimes pierced by thorns. After completing the sacrifice, he placed those lotus feet in the hearts of those who always think of him. Then the self-born Lord entered his own abode, unquote. A unique rasa is to be tasted at those lotus feet, a special mood of ecstatic worship, and Narada wants to help Gopakumar achieve it. By devotional service to Madan Gopal, the source of all avatars of Vishnu, everything desirable is easily obtained. Yet Sri Raghunath is a special incarnation of the Lord. He has special characteristics that one cannot relish without developing the particular mood of his worship. Wow. Narada now offers to instruct Gopakumar in a method of worshipping Lord Ramachandra. Well, this would be a great topic to hear about. I think Vamsi mentioned this a little bit. I think we mentioned in the last reading as well that Krishna has all the qualities of all the incarnations of Godhead. So when we hear about Lord Ram, then we are reminded of our Lord Krishna, because Lord Ram is exhibiting a certain aspect of the beauty of Lord Krishna. Yeah. So practice chants like this. O husband of Sita Raghunath, elder brother of Lakshman, O Lord, dear master of Sri Hanuman, and remember the qualities, beauty, and power of Lord Ramachandra, as revealed in the Vedas and other scriptures. Okay. Commentary. Gopakumar might also worship the Lord of the Raghus by addressing him as the darling son of Kaushalya, or the son of Dasarat, or the elder brother of Bharata, or the friend of Sugriva, or he might remember Sri Raghunath's transcendental qualities of shyness, humility, and so on, his beautiful appearance as he carries a bow in his hand, and his powerful display of various opulences. The original Vedas give some hint of the glories and pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, which are elaborately described in the Puranas and in the Ramayana of Valmiki Rishi. All right, let's pause there, okay? Yeah. Let's pause there and we'll continue reading next week about Lord Ramachandra. Okay. Thank you everyone for joining us.
I just got the name. Madhavananda. Madhavananda.
Madhavananda. Thank you so much.
I looked it up. Yeah. I eventually found it. It's Madhavananda.
Well done.
Yeah.
Madhavananda.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Hare Krishna, wonderful Vaishnava. Krishna blessed us to remember his name.
Yeah.
Krishna kept it away from us just so we'd increase our desire to think of that Vaishnava.
Yes. Yes. That's right.
Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful weekend. Look forward to our readings beginning on Monday. Hare Hare, Hare Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.